Hey everybody, my name is Austin, and this channel is all about helping you to dig deeper and go further to better understand faith and film and everything in between. If that is exciting to you when you're new here, you can subscribe to my channel for a new video just like this one every Friday. This is a special week. We are just moving into the new year. It is actually New Year's Day right now, so I'm going to do something a little special. We're going to go through my top 10 movies from the year 2019. It was an incredible year for movies. In my opinion, one of the best years for movies we've had in quite a while. And so let's not waste any time and jump right into my 10 favorite movies from this past year. As with many of the people on YouTube posting lists about their top 10 movies, remember, it is completely subjective, completely biased, and completely opinionated. I'm not talking about the best, I'm talking about my 10 favorites. So, without further ado, we're starting off with Shazam. What I love about Shazam is it is simultaneously a superhero movie, and it also feels like an Amblin film from back in the 80s, like E.T. And I love how they just blended that and really brought that into the modern time period that it takes place in. Billy Batson, the main character, has a great character arc, and there's a really powerful message about responsibility and family. Billy also has a wildly fun dynamic with Shazam, as we have Zachary Levi portraying the superhero version of Shazam and Billy Batson as the kid who becomes the hero. And I love the dynamic between the two of them in the one quote-unquote body, as well as his foster brother who helps him to become this superhero. And that is all what puts Shazam at number 10 for my favorite movies of 2019. Next, this one's probably a little lesser known. At number 9, we have Shadow. Shadow is one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. The color, or lack thereof, as in it's mostly kind of a black and white palette, aside from the blood splatters in the different martial arts fights, is absolutely gorgeous to look at. I don't know if any other movie in 2019 comes close to what this movie looks like. And though the first 30 minutes can feel kinda slow, they are important and build a foundation for a fascinating story. If you have not heard of or checked out Shadow yet, I highly recommend it. Number 8, and this may not be, of course, best movie, but it's a really good movie. And remember, I said this is subjective and these are my favorites. And my criteria when it comes to picking my favorite movies, a big portion of that is rewatchability and just how much fun I have watching a movie. And at number 8, Zombieland Double Tap, that came out later this year, was an absolute blast for me. We've been begging for this sequel for 10 years now. And when it finally came out, I don't think people talked about this movie enough. It was an excellent follow-up sequel, did a really good job continuing what was set in the first one and where we would see these people 10 years later and how they would have grown and matured through this Zombieland apocalypse world and what that would have done to them and how they would act then 10 years later. Double Tap, in my opinion, gives us a more cohesive story than the first one. I still really love the first one, and it's definitely going to maintain its cult classic status for me, but I did enjoy the story a bit more in the second one. Next, at number 7, we have The Irishman, and all I have to say on this one is Joe Pesci. Let's move on. I'm kidding. Joe Pesci is my favorite part of this movie. De Niro is also incredible as the main character, and of course, Al Pacino as Jimmy Hoffa is also incredible. Also, kind of referred to in this movie is people have forgotten about people like Jimmy Hoffa and the impact that Jimmy Hoffa and these kind of people can have on a country. Martin Scorsese masterfully directs this 3.5-hour story of incredible things that happened and took place. I knew nothing about the historical facts and the story that went on, just like, you know, they talk about in the movie, and I absolutely loved how it played out. It is very clear that Martin Scorsese has a lot to say about life and the things we do and how the things we do maybe for the reasons we think are right, but how they can have a negative effect on what we are thinking we're doing these things for. It's just an incredible movie. If you can power through a 3.5-hour movie, and even if you don't think you can, it does not feel like it. So I highly recommend The Irishman. Next at number 6, we have John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. This movie has some of the best stunt work that I have seen in years. I absolutely love how just enough over the top, but still believable these movies are. And Chapter 3 is a perfect example of that. Also, Sophia, played by Halle Berry, it was an excellent addition to this cast and really had a great contribution to this overall story. Next at number 5, we have Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Who would have thought this film would end up being as controversial as it is, but in my opinion, this movie is just overflowing with love for Star Wars, and I have such an appreciation for something like that. Though this new trilogy hasn't necessarily had a cohesive and clear direction throughout these 3 films, I thoroughly enjoyed the epic conclusion. This movie also solidifies that Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver have given some of the best performances within the Star Wars universe. And on top of that, their chemistry in this movie alone is just incredible, and what they are able to convey through their relationship and where things go and how it ends. Alright, we are over halfway there now. Number 4, we're moving into some of my absolute favorite movies of the year. First in this section, we're going to start with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at number 4. This movie is very clearly a love letter to Hollywood and filmmaking. And many of Tarantino's movies in themselves are love letters to filmmaking because he just has a complete infatuation with it, and it's so cool to see that blended with not only a love for filmmaking but a love for Hollywood and just all that it means, especially during the time period of the 60s. Obviously I was not alive then, but I clearly felt like I had just stepped into the screen and into that time period. That is how authentic this storytelling is. This movie is beautifully shot, and the drama and comedy aspects are really well blended. It deals with some very serious issues, some really funny things, and Tarantino blends it together perfectly for another excellent addition to his film collection. Next, we have what I truly think is not only one of my favorite movies of the year, but one of the best and most well-made movies of the year. At number 3, we have Knives Out. Knives Out is directed by Rian Johnson, and I was excited to see this movie from the first trailers that came out. Then it was going around some film festivals, getting some buzz there, which made me even more excited. And then finally, when my wife was convinced to go see it, I was like, we are going now. So we went that very day. She finally decided, and we both loved this movie. I've not watched that many whodunits, and I absolutely just adored everything that they did with this movie. This is one of the most engaging movies of the year, and the cast is astounding the way that they just leap off the screen and you instantly feel like you are in and amongst everything that is happening. And one of the things that I love and respect most about this movie, it is a completely original story. It has nothing to do with any kind of sequel, franchise, spin-off, none of that. And I love that some of the best movies of the year can be completely original concepts. I'm so thankful for that. Now, some of you film buffs out there might think I'm crazy for doing this, but at number 2, I'm putting Avengers Endgame. And obviously this list is subject to change as I rewatch stuff because a movie hits you a different way every time you watch it. But right now, I just have to put Avengers Endgame in place number 2 because of just the sheer scale of this movie, the love that it has for the characters, the love that it has for the fans, the franchise, and just everything about this movie was made with so much love and care and quality, and they told an excellent story that really wraps up this 23 film, 10 plus year arc that we've had now in a just spectacular way. Everything about this movie is massive, so it may be just a big, awesome blockbuster, but I love it for that. And you can't deny that it is one of the most epic movies of the year and even of the decade, really. It's so ambitious in everything that it does, and they even take the time to give us really cool character moments, like everything that happens with Iron Man and Captain America's character, and I love this movie for all of those reasons. Finally, at number 1, we have Ford v Ferrari. There's a few people that I've seen YouTube lists of their top 10 favorite movies this year that this isn't even on their top 10 list, and I'm like, what the heck are you doing? Did we watch the same movie? From the moment this movie finished, I said, that is my favorite movie of the year. Everything about this movie astounded me. I couldn't believe we had never seen Matt Damon and Christian Bale in a movie together. Whose mistake it was to not do that until now, I don't know, but we definitely need to see that again in the future. They have incredible chemistry in every scene that they are together, whether they're working together, working against each other, is just, your eyes are glued to the screen with everything they're doing, everything they're saying. This is some of the highest quality filmmaking, and you've heard probably a lot of people describe this movie as like, this is the answer to the saying they don't make movies like they used to. There's incredible practical effects used in this film for all the racing sequences, and so much quality when it comes to the filmmaking and the art form that goes into it. Not only that, it is a powerful and inspiring story that I think has something in there for everyone. I'm not really a car guy. I enjoy, I think cars are cool. I think racing's interesting, but I'm not a car guy, but I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and so did my wife. She's not even a longer movie person. This movie's nearly 2.5 hours long, and as soon as it ended, she said, I want to watch that again. And she's not someone to want to rewatch movies very often. She has to wait a year or two to watch stuff again. And all of those things just combined make for one of the most memorable movies of the year, and one that I very clearly, as mentioned from the beginning, said this has to be my favorite movie of the year. It's not necessarily the biggest movie of the year, but everything about it was made with such love, such craft, such quality. I couldn't not throw this all the way up to my favorite movie of 2019. Now, of course, my list is going to be different from yours. It may be very different from yours. And also remember, I did not have a chance to see every movie that came out this year. So there's a few that may not have been on this list just because I didn't have time to see it. 1917 is a perfect example. It's at a very limited release right now, and it's not going wide until January 10th. So I didn't want to push off my top 10 list of the year for that long. So unfortunately, that's not going to be on this one. And there's a few others. So I'll put in the description every new movie that I watched this year. So be sure to check that out to see what I might have missed. And of course, go down to the comments. Let me know your favorite movies from this year. You can give me all 10. You can give me just a few. It's up to you. Lastly, do not forget to subscribe so you can come back next week. I'll be going through 10 movies that I am excited for in the year 2020 coming out this next year. It's not going to be in any particular order, but just 10 movies that I'm excited about seeing. So I'm excited to share about those and see what other people are looking forward to as well. So as always, you can subscribe for a new video just like this every week. And if you are looking to dig deeper and go further to better understand faith and film and everything in between, you're in the right place. I'll see you in the next video.